Here's the key to this whole passage. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Think about that for a second. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Let that sink in. The next one. No servant can serve two men. Again, part of a larger text, but for our purpose this morning, this will make the point. No servant can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be devoted to one and despise the other. And again, the last line here is the key. You cannot serve God and wealth. Is that true? Are these two verses, do they make sense? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also? Does that sound right? What is Jesus saying here? What is he saying? Or you cannot serve God and wealth. Is that possible? Is that not true? Is it possible? Do we think persons who are very wealthy could go to heaven? Is that possible they could? Sure it is, right? It is possible. But why would it be tougher? What's the whole point of this passage? How is it applied? Why would it be tougher? Maybe it's because the whole idea of something getting in the way of our relationship with Jesus Christ. You see, people who acquire great wealth, not all, but most, that is their number one goal in life. That's their focus. That's what drives them. That's what motivates them to be wealthy, to acquire whatever you can in this life. This life is all you have. So that's our mindset. It's kind of hard to follow Christ in that, isn't it? Where does Jesus fit into that story, if at all? Does Jesus fit? Maybe he doesn't. We're so busy making money, and Jesus is there, and it's nice to believe in him, but realistically, we got to have the money. We want to build our houses. We want to have our fancy cars and our fancy clothes. So Luke is talking here about the idea that, now he's not saying that rich people cannot go to heaven. That's not his point. However, what he is saying is that it makes it a whole lot tougher because of our priorities. What's our heart like? What's in our hearts? Is it to make money? Or is it to follow Christ? It's hard to do both at the same time, isn't it? Alright, probably a lot of you here have seen this movie, It's a Wonderful Life. I'm guessing you have, and probably heard of the sermon before, but you're going to hear this morning. George Bailey, y'all know George Bailey, right? The story's about him, right? Now, who is this George Bailey guy? He's a regular guy, right? Regular Joe. But he has a dream. He lives in a small town, works for his dad's business. He has a dream, right? His dream is to see the world. That's his dream. That's what motivates. That's what drives George Bailey, is to see the world. His life will be complete if he sees the world. Nothing else will matter. And so we look at George Bailey. You know the whole story. We're not going to go through it, but you understand that at some point he became so discouraged. Every time a chance came to see the world, something happened. Somebody dies, his brother gets married, the bank goes down, whatever it is, over and over and over again. Poor George Bailey. His dreams are squashed. Finally comes to the point when the bank is about $1 from going belly up. He realizes, I've had enough. So he decided he's going to end his life. He's had enough. His dream isn't working out. I'm going to end it right now. And of course, the rest of the story, you understand the rest of the story. Clarence, the guardian angel, comes, and we have this dialogue. And George gets this opportunity to see what the world would have been with like Peter and the Lord. You ever wanted that yourself? You ever thought about that? I kind of hope not. I mean, I had just for fun. It would be a whole lot different world. What if we had been one? So George says, I'm going to see how my life is. He realizes all through his life, even with this dream he has of seeing the world, what was more important ultimately is the love of his wife and his children. His dreams were nothing compared to the love of a family and friends and neighbors. Remember the end of the story. His friends gave him all this money. Funny, put the money back into the story. But his friends come back with this money. They save the bank and the whole community is saved. And George is a hero. And so it all comes down to the idea of this relationship with family over our own personal goals and aspirations. He realized love was more important. And there's one important quote, there are two important quotes at the end of this movie I just wanted to share to make a point. If you remember, you can visualize the movie, at the end they're having a celebration in the family, in the front room, right? And the money's all coming on the table, and And then Brother Billy comes in. He has a military suit on, looking really sharp. And what does Billy do? He toasts his brother, right? What does he say? He said, my big brother George, the richest man in town. He didn't have a penny to his name, but his brother saw him and he was the richest man in town. And then in the very end, you remember, Clarence gave George the Tom Sawyer book. Amazingly dry all the way. How that happens, we don't really know. But in the book, Clarence has an inscription. And what does that inscription say? The inscription says, remember that no man is a failure who has friends. No man is a failure who has friends. Like, how does it tie into the lesson today? Is it something where we have this relationship with friends that's more important than money and material goods? George realizes before it's too late. And so George Bailey, I think, helps us make this point. One of the persons I want to talk about this morning, we're going to call this person Bob. Now, Bob grew up in a regular household, although, I say he had two, mom and dad, two brothers and two sisters. They grew up in a fairly modest home. And, well, I tell you what, his father worked two jobs to put food on the table and keep the household running. And his mom worked part-time just to buy the kids stuff. Like kids, like you guys have bikes, or maybe baseball gloves, or basketballs, or whatever it is you do recreationally. All right, whatever it is you do, mom worked very hard to provide for her kids. Why? Because she loved her kids. And Bob was okay with that. That was fine for Bob. Until one day he went to junior high school, and all of a sudden he realized, I'm different from everybody else. His clothes did not match everybody else. His brown bag lunch didn't quite cut anymore. These kids all bought lunch in the cafeteria every day. You guys have that opportunity, don't you? You have hot lunches in the cafeteria every day? You could, right? Or you could bring lunch from home. Well, in Bob's school, bringing lunch from home was not cool. You were really square, or just you weren't with it if you brought your lunch from school. So Bob decided right there that he was doing better than that. Oh, he loved his mother and father very much, but you see, he decided he wasn't going to live like that. His kids were not going to be subjected to that. So what does Bob do? Bob, from that point on, dedicates his whole life to going to school, getting his education, going to college, and making a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money. Why? His kids don't have to worry about taking a brown bag lunch to school. His kids will always have everything they need. They'll have the finest house, the finest cars, great clothes. This is Bob's goal. So he goes to high school, he's a class valedictorian, right? Now he's out of high school, can't afford college. So kind of a bad term for Bob, but wait, goes to community college. He's been 2 years there, and sure enough, he's an honor, he finishes that class of honors, goes to the University of Illinois. He's there for 2 years, he's also a valedictorian in Champaign. So he's done so well in school, what happens? He's a scholarship or appointment money to go to Harvard School of Business. So Bob goes to Harvard. He gets his MBA, comes out of Harvard, and now what does he do? He gets a seat on New York Stock Exchange. It's a very, very big position. In that place, people lose and make and lose millions of dollars on a daily basis. So Bob does well for himself. Life is good. Along the way, he meets Lisa. They get married and have their 3 kids and have a $10 million house in upstate New York, and life is great. They're driving the fancy cars, kids have the fancy clothes, go to all the best schools, and life is really swell. But then what happens? Last few weeks our market's taken quite a tumble, hasn't it? The body hit pretty hard when this market crashed the last time. Bob lost all he had. So now Bob has nothing. So Bob is faced with a situation here, isn't he? Now, he'd gone to school, rival school as a youngster, but he gave that up when he became a rich man. He felt making money for his kids was more important than living in faith with Jesus Christ. So Bob had a decision to make. What would I do? What can I do? And it's really a sad situation, which probably is not uncommon in our industries here, especially our financial markets. A lot of people are struggling financially today, right? So Bob is in a very tough situation. He's got a dilemma. But I wonder, even as he breaks down, as he cries, through his tears, he can't see Jesus, the fountain with blessings, wanting to pour blessings all over him. The fountain is there. You can see the fountain through our tears. Maybe just being Bob can still make a good turn. How does this all relate to us? Where do we fit into this story? Or do we fit? Probably our